Hello, this is a quick video walkthrough of a simple cognitive online store implemented as a chatbot that works inside of Slack. Now I'm going to click on this link here. This is a developer journey from our developer.ibm.com code page. Each one of these developer journeys has a little bit of background in terms of a blog post, and then the components of the journey, some of the key technologies that are available, and we have a link directly in the journey to a GitHub repository with the code. Let's go there. In each one of these GitHub repositories for the developer journeys, we have a README that describes what's going on in the journey, and then step-by-step procedure for setting up the journey from the repository. In this case, to speed things along, we're going to use the Deploy to Bluemix button, but if you want to go hands-on and do things step-by-step, we have each one of the steps below in terms of cloning, creating the Bluemix services, and so on. What the Deploy to Bluemix button will do is will let us jump ahead here to step number 5, where we're going to configure the Slack bot, the chat bot inside of Slack. We'll click on Deploy to Bluemix. And this is going to launch IBM Bluemix DevOps toolchain. And specifically, it's going to configure a toolchain to take the GitHub repository, fork that over into a Bluemix hosted GitLab repository that's owned by the user of Bluemix that's signed in. It's going to create some tool integrations, links over to that Git repository, a link to a web editor. We won't need to use the web editor here, and also configuring the delivery pipeline, which will build and deploy the application. We'll keep everything as the defaults, and we'll click on Deploy. So the next screen that comes up here is just a confirmation that our Bluemix DevOps toolchain has been created. And we're going to focus here on the delivery pipeline because this is where the work is going to happen to build and deploy the application. I'm clicking on that icon. And if you click really quick, you might see a message like this. That's okay. Delivery pipeline will be up in a moment. So now our delivery pipeline is up, and we see the build stage is running. And just a quick bit here while these are running. The delivery pipeline is a feature in Bluemix DevOps that covers continuous integration and continuous delivery roles. Delivery pipeline is implemented through a series of stages. This delivery pipeline is very short and simple. It's got a build stage and a deploy stage. So the build stage is already completed, and now the deploy stage is running, where the application and the associated services that provide the backend for the chatbot are being created in Bluemix. While the deploy stage runs, we're going to see some messages up in the upper right, little status things about our application. Okay, so we saw a message about the application being added and starting. And in a moment here, we'll see a couple more messages about the application crashing. And this is an expected result because we have not yet configured the properties for the application that will allow it to talk to the Slack bot. Let's go back while this deployment is finishing over to our setup steps in the GitHub repository. Okay, so we hit the Deploy to Bluemix button. Our application is being created. Let's jump to step 5. Okay, and step 5, we're actually going to configure the bot inside of Slack. Now, I don't have a Slack team or I have sufficient authorization to create bots, but I can go ahead and create a brand new Slack team on my own. So let's go off and do that first. So to test things out, I'm just going to create a new Slack team. I've already signed into Slack and I'm starting to create the team. Let's set the group name for the team. Let's call this example Watson Chatbots. Team URL. This is free, but I'm going to pick a different one, just keyed off of my user ID. So for invitations, I don't need to add any more. We'll skip it. And we're going to skip the tutorial. And you don't need to turn on desktop notifications. And we've got the general channel, and we'll just use the general channel. All working. Now that we have a working Slack team, we'll be able to add our own Slack bots as integrations. The steps shown in the GitHub repository README work fine if you're in a Slack team that already has some existing bots configured. But if you've got a brand new Slack team like this one, the best way to configure your first bot, we'll open up a new tab, is to open up this URL, my.slack.com services/new/bot. Okay. And this is going to prompt me to provide the username for the bot. Let's keep this simple. We'll just call this bot WOS for Watson Online Store, less to type when we're talking to the bot. Click on Add Bot Integration. And that's it. At this point, I can invite the bot to a channel, but we want to get this API token here, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this. We're going to go paste this into our settings for our application following the instructions from the README. Okay, so back over here in the README, let's keep going down here for our next steps. Okay, run the application. If you use the Deploy to Bluemix button, most of the setup is automatic, but we do need to configure in the runtime environment variables for the application the API key that we just copied over from the Slack web user interface. So we're going to go to our application dashboard. To get there, we'll go to our toolchain, click on the menu, select Apps and Dashboard. This will bring up the this account's entire Bluemix dashboard for our Cloud Foundry apps, container clusters, etc. What we care about here is this application. We'll click on the application name. And this will bring up the application overview panel where we can see the runtime. See, here's the message about the application crashing. That's expected again because we don't have the right API key there. We see the connections. These are the backing service that provide the services, including the Watson services behind this chatbot, as well as the cloud service that's storing our shopping cart that's implemented in the online store. We'll click on Runtime and select Environment Variables. And below the VCAP services, which are being used by the application to talk to the backing services, are the user-defined variables. Here's that placeholder we need to replace. Just clicking on one of the other panels. Now we can do Save. Okay. And with that, now the application is restarting with these new settings. Go over to Logs. Okay, and here's our updates. It's starting. We'll scroll down at the bottom, see some messages here. Okay, looks like we are starting to talk to the Slack instance. Let's go over and see if our chatbot's responding. And yes, our chatbot is responding. Excellent. So let's go shopping. The data that's behind this chatbot and the online store has been pulled from the IBM logo catalog. It includes things like shirts and sweatshirts and caps and mugs. So let's go shopping. Ask, what do you want to shop for? I'm looking for a mug. And so what happens here is that we're using Watson Discovery to search through the data that's been added to it and it come back with a series of links from our chatbot, different mugs types, and it says which item you like to add to your cart. So let's add the Be Essential mug. So I just give the number from the list. Okay. And it shows me what's in my current shopping cart. It'll also prompt me to delete something from here. It's a very simple conversational flow. Let's just say none. And again, you always have to preface with the chatbot name so that you know you're talking to the chatbot. Okay. Okay, let's try a sweatshirt. Okay, off to discovery. And we got 2 of them. Let's get the IBM sweatshirt. Again, it lists what's in the cart. And I get an option to delete things. I'm going to change my mind about the mug. Let's just say okay. And now we can leave this chatbot. And if we were to come back at later, since all this is being stored in cloud, the chatbot will keep track of what's in my cart. So that's pretty much the high-level walkthrough of the chatbot and how to deploy it and the basics of what it does. Thanks for watching.